My topic for today is, as you see there, we're trying to brew. We're going to brew like coffee. We're going to brew 5 critical leadership skills, but not for yesterday, not for today, but for the age of the AI. Yes, artificial intelligence is something which we're going to talk about this evening. But I'm also an archaeologist, so I'll take a step back. We'll go into a little bit of history. We'll take it from a different perspective, yeah, AI through the lens of history. So this is what we're going to have today. And we start with a story. And this story starts in 1600. So this, ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about, the company is the East India Company. And the country is dear own India. Yeah. Now to give you a perspective of this organization called the East India Company or the East India Organization, trade I have put in there, carted around 45 to 83 trillion dollars over 200 years. To give a perspective to those numbers, Google, which is one of the biggest organizations around, would take 235 years to make that money. You could build 3 crore houses with that kind of money. And if you're talking about effectiveness of this organization, it did all this in a small room which was less than 500 square feet, and with just, when it started, it had just 6 people. Then it got some more people. At its peak, it only had we had only 159 people who were managing a whole country. Now, 300% growth, 45 to 83 trillion dollars. We are still counting in billions. 45 to 83 trillion dollars. This is a rough estimate, pessimistic estimate, which we have. And such an organization, how would you grade it? You would say it's brilliant. It's one of the biggest, and it is one of the biggest corporations in the world. But what are the flavor? Now this is something which I want to talk about. And I should also add that this fueled their first industrial revolution. It gave them steam engines. It graduated from the muscles to the machines. That's what this 45 to 83 trillion dollars gave the British Empire, or the East India Company, and later the British Empire. The second industrial revolution got with it electricity, gas and oil, wherein we had plans. And it also graduated to strategy. So we had plans to do maybe a task 1. We had plans to do task 2. But how to get it in order and make something, a strategy out of it, is what happened in the second industrial revolution. That's from 1850 to 1970. The third industrial revolution is where we are now, wherein we have amplified our bodies enough. Now it's amplification of the mind. Yeah. So we are slowly getting into that space wherein we are amplifying with computers our minds, our thoughts, our processes. So we are in this space wherein leadership is in the phase of management looking to vision. So if you would go back 15 to 20 years, we talk about management, yeah? How to manage resources. Now we have enough of managers. We need leaders. So, and leaders cannot work without a vision. If you don't know where you're going, you cannot have a road which leads to that destination. So that is where we are on a phase, and we are in this phase now, wherein our management, we need to just relook at the word management itself and look at leaders who can pull together resources and take it in a particular direction. So we are in this space, and the fourth industrial revolution, which has also started, it's overlapping, we are in a cusp actually, which is started in 2010, I would say. There's always debate around these dates, so I have my own dates. So this is a phase which started 2010, and we have coins jingling. That's also the start of something which is called as the fourth industrial revolution. And we have here, okay, as we are graduating from management to vision, we also need our leadership to go into culture, convergence and collaboration. We need to work together. And these are echoes that, linger in our mind. What will be the impact of AI in my life? What will be the impact of AI in my business or in my job? How would it change the scape of leadership in the future? What are we really looking at? I'm really worried about AI. All these robots doing things, they even do surgery nowadays. Yes, they do it. And it's just not today, it's been there for, I think, 10, 11 years now. And they have only gotten better. They're even better than human beings, I would say, in many regards. So coming back, also area of debate. So I'll not go in there, but we also have a doctor in there. I know he'll have his own doubts. But yes, so this is something which is debatable, which is hot really. But how would all of these things transform or affect me as a person? This is something which is a question. Now let me put some. I like playing with numbers, So let me put some numbers again. 30% of all, for now as we speak, of everything in a business can be automated. I say it with the thought, that's a pessimistic figure. 45 is a very good figure, but I've just put it there as 30. 54 is the kind of administrative things that we have managers doing today. That is 54% of people in an organization, in any organization, are doing administrative work which can be done by a bot or an algorithm, in short. That's the number there. And 400 million workers. We talk about displacement in numbers. Yeah, when we talk about displacement in numbers, we have people moving out for jobs. We have people moving out for food. We talk about global warming happening, and if that happens, so many people will be displaced from one country to another. But this is another factor which is going to displace people again. So how are we going to? It's just those marbles in a jar. You shake it, and where it falls, we never know. So that's something again. More numbers coming in. So what are these numbers? Now these are future numbers. This is a very interesting slide because this shows us as to what are the skills which will make the workforce of tomorrow. What are the skills which will take predominance in the world of tomorrow? So we have social and emotional skills, very interesting, 20%. Higher cognitive skills, which means reasoning, it could be negotiation, it could be any of the higher cognitive skills, and of course technical skills. This slide actually tells us that we have to be more human in the future. Now what I'm going to do, as I said, we're going to brew. So I'm going to pick up 5 beans and we're going to brew that coffee of leadership now. So the first one, which is the skill for tomorrow, is one of my favorite and what I stand for, creativity. So what it means is basically problem solving, innovating, exploring new ways to do things. Another thing is agility. Agility is another bean that we have here. Very interesting. Some of the companies, big corporations are already using it. Amazon is one example. Again, I'm not patronizing Amazon. I should say that because again, looks like the Amazon principle of having a team as small as 2 pizzas. They have the 2 pizza concept, as in like any team which is bigger than 2 pizzas, as in like when you share out pizzas, if someone that is like 12 to 15 is the size of the team, any team should not be bigger than this size. So what we have is a small team. It works in warfare. It's really a little bit off the course, but even our ancestors used to have this so-called strategy in our warfare, or when they used to conduct or have wars. Conduct is not the correct word. So when they used to have wars, we had smaller teams, 12 to 15. They used to go around and they used to supplement. They used to fortify, they used to repair, but smaller teams. When you have a big mammoth elephant team, what happens is it's difficult to manage. There are so many loose ends you're trying. Most of the time you're stuck in firefighting. Most of the time you don't even know where the fire is. Third, you don't even know whether it's a fire or blizzard. So there are so many issues that you're trying to just get by. And most of the employees are just okay getting their salaries, So the main purpose of the growth of the company is lost. So that's something which we need to like really, and it's a wonderful thing which they followed Amazon. So flexible and being resilient. The third being which we have there is the emotional intelligence. It's so easy, and again, I was part of this exercise wherein like we had to talk sense. Wherein like HR manager today sends in a mail saying, "Thank you for your work. You've been so great." At the end of is the it's all buttering up for the main punch. What happens is, "Thank you for your services, but it's the end of the road. You're fired." Now, you build it up very well. I mean, that's email drafting for you. So, and that's a skill again. So you build it up so well, and then you hit it. I mean, it's so sad. So, and this is wonderfully put. I was watching football with one of the very young guys. He's 5 years old, and he said, the referee blew the whistle, and he said, "Card." So he asked me, "What's going on?" He said, so I said, like, he's been, gotten out because he did something which was not supposed to be done. So why doesn't he talk to the person is the next question that a child tells me. Why doesn't he talk to the person and resolve it? Because the guy will have to go out and he can't play, which is a very valid point. So why can't we have that empathy, really? Why can't we have that empathy, that feeling, that compassion for a fellow human being? Even when you're firing, I mean, there are ways to do things, really. And emotional intelligence is something which is very important, as is critical thinking. Critical thinking, if I have to explain critical thinking, I would be like, let's say if I'm driving the car, and I realize I've just left the steering and the car steers to the right. It means that the wheels are having a problem. It's not aligned well. That's the kind of thing which we need to have in our management. Introspection. Forget management. Even in our personal lives, how many times do we sit back and think, okay, this is something which I should have done better. Can we do this better the next time? We were talking about the firing part. How many times, I'll just go back to that because that's very critical and it really hurts me. How many times have we sat across an employee and asked him or her, how can we make this better? Or how can he improve? Because today's tone is like, if you don't make up with the sales figures, you know me, you know the road, yeah, you'll be out. Your life will be jammed. And this is something which they say it with all pride, onto an employee. So this is something which we need to go away from, because this is also the need for the future. We come back to critical thinking. So wherein we can align our cars, wherein we can align our organizations, wherein we can align our personal space very well. Now this is something which we need to do with critical thinking. The next beam which we have is collaboration. Collaboration not only with people, not only with organizations, but also with technology. Technology talking to technology. Yeah? Why are we so closed about technology? We need to be sharing so that more things can be built. If we had blocks 1, 2, 3 built and already shared, people can then focus on the 4, 5, 6, 7. It can be built much faster. And this is, I'm just trying to make it as free flowing as possible, giving the sweetest example. But this is something which we need to do. And best of technologies are built that way. So the more we hoard, not the best, we need to be open. So whether it's opening up with people of different culture, peoples of different culture, if I could use that word, different nations, different ethnicities, different races, if we can come together, now that's something which we need to work on. Even technology, if we can talk, one technology can talk to another, whether it's hardware, software, even algorithms, or any of the things which can talk to each other, it'll make our lives so much more easier. It's brew time, and we are brewing the future of leadership. So the 5 beans right there, and mind me, these are the beans which will take you across. If you have it, not only in your organizations, not only in your businesses, not only anywhere that, whether it's governments or whether it's like personal spaces, we need to have these in our lives. because each of these beings could really better or alter how we think. And well, I always think coffee, when I talk about coffee, it's like leadership, you know. It really invigorates, it gives you direction really. It really gets you going, it motivates. If you're a good leader, I mean, you'll motivate, you'll carry people along. You'll make them more productive. That's your role really. You're a facilitator there. You mentor them, you make them better, you train them, you know. So these are all the things, and of course, what better place, again I'm not patronizing, what better place to meet than Starbucks. So as a community, if you can get people together, if you can talk one language and get people together, now that's something which we can all do, and that's what leaders have to do for the future. So when we have the coffee of future leadership with these 5 beings, so, and we have all these different aspects part of it, that is when you will have a great coffee, great leadership, a great organization, and a great nation. And that gets me to the end of the presentation. I thank you all for listening to me, your space. Thank you again.